Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today's episode is Universal Studios a half-day park one. We're delving into potential controversy. I'm just back from a trip. I'm fresh back. I landed yesterday. I'm back home and I'm back recording, ready for another episode. And I tell you what, this is one of these episodes that sometimes an episode, it kind of comes to me. It comes to me. I kind of experience something, or I see something, I read something, I watch something, and I think, you know what? I've got to do an episode on it. I've got to do an episode because I feel like it's a topic like worth discussing. I feel like it's a conversation worth having. So the question I'm kind of putting is Universal Studios a half-day park? And I know immediately some people have seen this, and I think of a couple of guys. I think of a couple of legends. I think of Sam, 2 3/4, Jay, University Speaking, and you guys have probably hated on me straight away from the title, and I feel it. I feel it. First and foremost, I love Universal Studios. Let's get that very, very clear. All right. This is not a bash. This is not a dig. This is not clickbait. This is none of the above. What this is a genuine, honest conversation about the state of the park right now. And I think it's a conversation that, like I said, it does need to be had. I think that it's a sensible conversation. I think it's a conversation that we can all have, or I'm going to have with you guys. But I think it's a conversation that is genuinely one worth considering. So, without further ado, let's kind of get into what is a half-day park. What do we say? What do we mean? What do people mean when they're saying a half-day park? Obviously, we've got a couple of parks that people over the years have referred to as half-day parks. Animal Kingdom being one of them. Hollywood Studios before Galaxy's Edge was another one. So I'm not saying that that's the case, but I am saying that people have definitely said that over the years. And the reason being is that they basically feel like you can go into the park, you can do the majority of it, or you can do the bulk of what is worth doing in half a day. You can basically go in and tick it all off and go, right, it's got to lunchtime just after, let's leave the park. That's what people are saying. That's what people are referring to, and that's what they mean when they're saying a half-day park. So when I think of Universal Studios, I always think of Universal Studios having a lot. I always think of Universal Studios having a lot of different IPs. I think of it having a lot of different lands. I think of it being an immersive park. I think of it being a huge park in terms of kind of the landscape of Orlando, especially. But obviously, I've just been, and I've been fortunate enough to have been twice to Orlando in the past 6 months. And I went into Universal Studios, I think 3 times this trip. And I don't think I spent any more than 3 hours in there. And that's me being honest. And I'm going to approach this from all angles. Okay. So I'm going to approach this from all angles of what you can do there, what you can experience, what maybe you should experience, what maybe you can leave, what stuff isn't as important. Now, obviously, when we talk about half-day parks, what we're talking about realistically is people who are probably going to these parks more often than not. Obviously, if you're going on a once-in-a-lifetime 2-week trip and you're going to these parks for the first time in 10 years, 20 years, you're going to rope drop to rope close. You're gonna full day it. And the reason why is because there is so much to do that you haven't experienced. And ultimately, you might not have experienced what I would deem to be good or bad. You're prepared to go there and just experience everything. You're going with a completely different outlook and a completely different kind of approach to what I would, which is totally fair enough, isn't it? Like, ultimately, we've got different views, we've got different ideas of what we would like to do in a park. But I think that it's worth kind of combating, that half-day park conversation with, I think it's your more frequent goer. I think it's your more frequent goer to these parks who is going to have that conversation about half-day park opposed to your once-in-a-lifetimer. I'm just coining these phrases here. Your once-in-a-lifetimer. That's a good one, that. Jeez. Clearly I've got a bit of jet lag. Anyway, right, what was I saying? Obviously, with regards to Universal Studios, what is in the park? And I know we think of Universal Studios, and I think that a lot of us think of nostalgia. When I say Universal Studios, one of the first things we probably all think of is Jaws, Back to the Future, Twister, Earthquake. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're thinking of all of those kind of rides, which is amazing. E.T. especially as well. Like, we're thinking of all those kind of rides, and we might not be thinking about the stuff that's currently there. Obviously, there is a very, very big caveat to that. I think, in my opinion, and I'm going to get into this on Friday's episode, I believe, and any of you who know me will know that my opinion may have changed on this at this point. I believe that Diagon Alley is one of the most immersive lands in Orlando. One of. I don't believe it is the most immersive land anymore, in my opinion, but I do think it is exceptional. I feel like it is so incredible that you can experience this kind of set from the films. Like, I feel like, you know, it is just so deep, so deep that you can go in there and you can experience Diagon Alley as you would in the films, feel like you're in the films, go into Gringotts, go into Nocturne Alley, go in and get a Florian Fortescue's ice cream, go into the Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes, or go into Ollivander's, or wherever else it may be. Like, what I'm saying is there's so many different experiences in that one area that makes it so incredible. So if we're talking about, you know, the things that you think of when you think of Universal Studios, I do think that you 100% are thinking of Diagon Alley, the Wizarding World. And, you know, and I will say that I think that if this park didn't have Diagon Alley, it would be struggling. And that is my personal opinion, and you might not agree, and you might not like Harry Potter, or whatever, you know, whatever your opinion may be on it. That is what I believe. I think that without the Wizarding World, without Diagon Alley, this park struggles. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on it. So let's rattle off a couple of like things that are in the park. Let's, you know, I'm going to try and walk through it. I'm going to try and like rattle off what there is, and I'm probably going to miss stuff. So I do apologize. So if anyone's going to tell me off, as you walk in, I'm literally, I've got eyes closed and I'm envisioning myself walking through the park as if I was there 2 days ago. So on the left, you've got Minions. On the right, you've got my favorite thing to say, Minions Villain Con. Have I said it right? Minions Villain Con. Yeah, that is the one. So you've got those two. Then you keep going further up. You've got Rip Ride Rockit on the left. You've got Minions Cafe on the right, I believe. Keep going. You've got Jimmy Fallon. And then if we keep going and we hang a right, head up there a little bit, you've got the Mummy on the left, Transformers on the right. It might not be quite that close to each other, but that is what you've generally got. Keep going a little bit further up. You've got the wonderful, the brilliant, the fantastic Fast and Furious on the left. Jesus Christ. Oh, you're going to laugh at some of these vlogs. You are going to laugh. Keep going past Fast and Furious, generally at all times. And you will then get to King's Cross. So you can go from King's Cross over to Hogsmeade Station via the Hogwarts Express. You've got the night bus on the right. You've got obviously London, so you can go in left and go into Diagon Alley as well. So that whole area, obviously incredible. Keep going through that area, and you've got the empty plot of where Fear Factor used to be. Hang a right, and we will then get to Men in Black on your left. Keep going around again, and you're going to get to Springfield, so you're going to have all of the Simpsons area. Keep going through there, trying to think what else we've got at this point. I think we're then getting towards where E.T. is, and you've also got the Kid Zone area, which is not called Kid Zone anymore because it's called DreamWorks Land, I believe. So you've got that, which is obviously the newly kind of freshened up kids area. And then if we keep going down what I believe to be called Hollywood Boulevard, could be not Hollywood Boulevard. If you again keep going back towards the entrance, on your left you have also got the Bourne Stuntacular, and then on the right you've basically got the Wicked kind of experience store as well. So that's what we've got in the park. There are a few shows. You've got like the horror makeup show. You've got, what have we got? I've got to remember the names of these now. You've got the Marilyn show. You've also got the Blues Brothers show. They're kind of like little 5-10 minute kind of like shows that just appear in the park at certain times of day. Like I said, horror makeup show. You've also got in the Wizarding World Diagon Alley area, you've got Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, I think it is, which is a little bit like the, it's a short show that's on every now and then. And then obviously we're talking about shows, you can say the Born Stuntacular as well. So that, I believe, if I haven't forgotten anything, and there is a chance I've forgotten something, is the park. That is what is in the park. Now, what I'm gonna say is, what do I personally believe? And this is where I'm gonna get controversial and I'm gonna upset people. What do I believe is worth doing? So for me, as someone who goes frequently, who is an annual pass holder, who loves this park, who loves Universal Studios, what do I believe is categorically worth doing? And I'm not talking about like going into lands and stuff. I'm just for now, I'm just going to talk about rides. I'm going to talk about rides, then I'll talk about experiences I think that you need to do. I'll talk about any foods potentially as well, maybe. And then maybe if there's anything else that comes up ahead in the next 10 minutes, then I might say that as well. But in terms of rides that I believe are absolutely categorically worth doing, need to be done, I'm going to put 3 in there. I'm going to put 3 in there, and it's being kind. I'm going to be honest. I am being kind with 3. And so immediately I'm probably upsetting some people saying that. Caveat, again, I am going to say that Born Stuntacular is not a ride. Okay? Just leave with that. So the 3 rides that I believe are must-dos, have to be done categorically, in my opinion: Escape from Gringotts, The Mummy, and Transformers. That's what I'm saying. A few of you are probably like raising your eyebrows at Transformers. Everyone loves Spider-Man. Everyone thinks it's exceptional, as it is. And it is. It's brilliant. I think Transformers is as good. I prefer the Marvel IP, don't get me wrong, but I still love Transformers. I think it's great. I really do. I think it's a fantastic ride. I say I think it's good. Like I do in terms of the ride system, but in terms of what I enjoy more, I enjoy Spider-Man more. It's no question. But in terms of those 3 rides, I think that the Mummy is an absolute classic. I think that Escape from Gringotts is brilliant. Whether or not you like Harry Potter, or whether or not you like the ride system, I think that it's a clever. I think it's a unique ride system that is really worth doing, worth going on. So there is a couple of rides that have been omitted from this list, which I probably better discuss, but one of them being ET. For me, it's not a must ride. It's not. Like, I get the nostalgia. I get the nostalgia of it. We've talked about this a lot before. I'm not trying to bash it. I am just saying that I think that for me personally, it is not a must ride anymore. That's where I stand on it. Come for me. Like, it's fine. Like, it's all good. Like, well, I appreciate the nostalgia aspect. It doesn't hit as hard for me as it does for some people, which is fine, isn't it? It's opinion. The same way that It's a Small World or Peter Pan's Flight or, Three Caballeros, or like, I'm just going to try and get out of this hole a little bit. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, there's just a few that basically they hold a really special place for a lot of people because they are nostalgic. But does that mean it's a must ride? For me, that ride is not a must ride. But so I'm putting 3 in the must ride list. So then we're talking about other rides that are a maybe, are a, if you had a chance and if you feel all right on it, would you do it? So what have we got? Let me whip up a list for this one quick. I reckon on this list, for me, because I don't mind doing them, there's 2. Okay, so again, the 2, and this might surprise you, are Men in Black. I love Men in Black. For me, it's. I'll be honest, I didn't do Men in Black this trip. I didn't have a burning desire to do it. I love it. I enjoy it, but it's not on the same level of I need to do that as some of the other ones. but that's just me personally, all right? So for me, Men in Black is if I can do it, I'll do it. And the other one is Simpsons. Simpsons doesn't actually make me ill, so I don't mind it. I enjoy Simpsons as a franchise. Do I rate the ride? I think there's worse. I think there's a lot better. I think there's worse in this park, obviously, considering the list. But ultimately, like I said, I think that those are the two which kind of like, if I had a chance, I'd go on them. Of course I would. Absolutely. And I would, to be fair, I'd put ET in that list as well. I think that's probably fair because I don't dislike it. If I had a chance to do it and if I was feeling doing it, then I'd go on it. Okay. So we got 3 in the top tier list. We got 3 in the middle list. And now we've got the I'm not bothered about them list. And then there is one more list at the bottom as well, but we'll get into that one. So the I'm not bothered about it list is, and the other caveat I'm going to say as well, I'm omitting Rip Ride Rockit as well, because Rip Ride Rockit is not going to be open. It's going to be closed. Otherwise, I would have put Rip Ride Rockit in the middle list. I think that's probably fair. I did do Rip Ride Rockit a couple of times this trip, and it made me remember that I'm over the age of 30 years old, because it rattled me a little bit. So I am omitting Rip Ride Rockit. I don't think it's worth talking about at the moment because it's not going to be there. So, kind of what's the point? But anyway, moving on to the I'm not as bothered list. Minions Villain Con, Jimmy Fallon. What else have we got? I think that might be it. I think we might have 3, 3, and 3. I'm doing a quick walk around the park just in case I forgot something. I think it's that. Yeah. Okay. So then you've got those 3 in the I'm not bothered list. I think that Minions, like, kind of for me is whatever. I've done Minions Villain Con once and I have a very little desire to do it again, if I'm absolutely honest with you. And I've done Jimmy Fallon a couple of times over the years and I don't get it. I'm sorry. I know that some of you like it as well. I just don't get it. It doesn't do anything for me. I feel like personally there could be a million things in that space that would be better suited than what is there. The ride system is fine. I just don't understand why it's the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I don't get it. It baffles me, to be honest with you. And it's probably because I'm not American. It's probably because I don't appreciate what the Tonight Show is. So I know I'm not the target audience, and I totally know that. It's fine. It's not a problem at all. And then we've got the bin list, which is that this needs to shut immediately, and it's Fast and Furious. Sorry, Fast and Furious fans, and I am one of them. I am a Fast and Furious fan, not a Fast and Furious Supercharged fan. I am a Fast and Furious franchise fan. This ride is bin. It is bin in every department, sadly. But there you go. So that's where I'm at. So what I'm saying is that for me, I think there's 3 must rides in this park. In an entire park where there's 10, arguably 11 rides if we still count Rip Ride, there's 11 rides. And in my personal opinion, I think that in terms of must-dos, there are 3 rides. Okay? So this is where we're getting into this kind of topic and this conversation about half-day park. Because say you go into the park and you've done a lot of this before. What are you going to do? Like, are you going to be itching to go and do all of the shows? Are you going to be itching to do Horror Makeup Show? Are you going to be itching to go on Simpsons? Are you going to be itching to go and do Minions? I don't know. But like, what I'm saying is I think that even if you take some of the middle list ones, and obviously everyone's list is going to be different, I think you probably go and do 5 or 6 rides tops, I would argue. Obviously, there's multiple ride arguments, of course. Like, if you're a big Mummy fan, then you might go and do the Mummy 6 times. But again, that's not a problem. That's fine. Like, obviously, you can make your day, like, pad it out with whatever you wish. Of course you can. But for me, there are arguably 6 rides that I would look to do. There are 3 that I would probably look to do every or most times. That's where I stand on it. Obviously, in regards to shows, I really, really rate the Bourne Stuntacular. I think that the Bourne Stuntacular is absolutely worth doing. Do I think it's worth doing every trip? That's a difficult one. It depends how frequently you go. I didn't do it this trip. I did it the last trip. I feel like that was probably recent enough. Next trip, I'll probably do it again. That's where I stand on it. And I know that's probably where people stand on the Horror Makeup Show as well. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'm at this point where I'm like, there are bits in the part that I would do. There are bits in the part that I wouldn't do. There are bits in the part that kind of like I'm dying to do, but there's also stuff in the park that I really am not that bothered about. Are there other experiences? And by other experiences, I'm probably going to refer to lands that you want to be in or you want to spend time in. Well, Diagon Alley, I think it's probably fair to say that a lot of people are going to want to go there and they're probably going to want to spend a little bit of time there. But I mean, what? 20 minutes, half an hour? You might go there, get a butterbeer, get an ice cream, kind of watch the dragon go off a couple of times, sit down, buy yourself an expensive gilly water or a pumpkin juice or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's enough things to do over there that you can spend a bit of time in there. Some people might say the same thing for Springfield, which is absolutely fine. But I think in terms of other lands, for me, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that you're going to want to spend loads of time in some of these other areas. I'm not sure many of these areas are that set up for you chilling in them. Obviously, you can sit in them. They're kind of like benches kind of down the streets and stuff like that, which is great. I don't know how long you're going to want to sit in them. I don't know. The other thing is, I really rate the Wicked experience. I really enjoy going in there. But at the same time, I think I've gone in there like 5 times at this point, and I've been there 5 times in the last 2 trips. I really enjoy it. I don't really understand what the end game is with it in terms of, is it just going to stay there until like the second film comes out, Wicked for Good? Is it just going to stay there until that one, and then they're going to change the kind of dress up on it to that? Is that where they're going? I think at this stage it probably is, considering that's coming out in November, and we're in nearly in June already. So I mean, for the sake of just leaving it there for another 6 months and trying to sell some merch, like, you might as well. And obviously, if you haven't got anything else to put in there, then absolutely. So we're kind of getting closer. We're getting closer to kind of the verdict of what I think and what I feel on this park. And I'm so intrigued to know what you all think as well, because I think the points I'm making, personally, I think they are valid. I think that what I'm saying realistically is that there's some really, really good stuff in this park, and there's some not as good stuff, and there's some stuff that kind of sits on the fence a little bit. The final thing for me that would be a bit of a swayer is things like food and drink. Are there enough, what I would kind of say, quote unquote, viral food and drinks in this park for you to want to go and buy, for you to want to keep going back to this park to experience them? And the reason I say that is because I think of some things in certain parks that people will want to go and do, such as, like, I'm thinking of things I like: cheeseburger spring rolls, or pepperoni pizza spring rolls, or I lava you float, or there might be specific drinks around Epcot that you want to go and get, or there might be, arguably there's the Shrexel. Is the Shrexel one of those? Is the Shrexel one of those snacks that you want to go and get every single time you go? I don't know. I would say, in terms of food, drinks, and restaurants in Universal Studios, it is weak, in my opinion. I honestly, other than maybe a slice of Louis pizza or a Florian Fortescue's ice cream, I can't really think of anywhere that I am dying to eat at. And that's me being honest. I don't know if there is. If there is, you might have to tell me, because maybe I'm missing out on an absolute gem somewhere. But for me, there isn't. And the reason why I say this is because, obviously, I've just experienced Universal's newest park, and their food and drink offerings are a different level. And I'm going to get into that on Friday's episode. I'm going to deep dive it, but there is a lot to be said for the offerings there in comparison to this park. So here's where I'm at. Do I think, this is the big question, the question I've put to myself, do I think that Universal Studios Florida is a half-day park? For me, personally, as it stands right this second, I think it is. And it pains me. It does pain me to say this. I think at the moment it's a half day. And I know I've probably like annoyed some people immediately, but at the same time, I think you've got to be honest. I think you've got to be honest with yourself. I think you've got to look at this and go, right, what do I want to do in this park? It's a wonderful park. Don't get me wrong. It is a wonderful park to be in. It's a wonderful park to spend time in. But in terms of, if I'm talking about people who go more regularly, is there enough to do in just this park alone that's going to be worthwhile? I think a lot of people, and I think if you look at this and take a step back and go, do I spend rope drop to park close in this park? I don't think many people do. I'm not saying there aren't people who don't, because if there are, and there inevitably are, spot on, absolutely good for you. I love it. Like, but I think a lot of people will go in this park, do their highlights, get on the Hogwarts Express, go over to Islands and do more stuff over there. I feel like the re-rideability of stuff over in Islands, being Velocicoaster, Hagrid's, is a bit more re-rideable, in my opinion, as well, than some of the stuff over in this park. I think you've done Gringotts. Like that's kind of where I stand on it. But that's basically where I'm at. I feel like this park needs more. So what does it need? What does it need for this to not be a half-day park anymore? And there is an argument here. Like, obviously, I'm talking about this potentially being a half-day park, but it does have the side, the kind of like the caveat to this as well, that this park, once we get to Halloween Horror Nights, is absolutely chock-a-block. Like, and because it becomes something else, it becomes something more. So there is that argument. I think that is such a valid thing for us to look into. Like, but if I'm talking about in the daytime, any other time of year, at the moment, I don't think there's enough stuff. So where is the park? What is the lay of the land? What do we think's gonna happen? So we know that Rip Ride Rockit is closing. So that's closing in September. I would be amazed at this point if the Hollywood Drift Fast and Furious coaster that's going into Hollywood doesn't come over here. I will be amazed. I would be absolutely shocked if it didn't. I think, to be honest with you, I think it probably is the right move. I think that it'll be worthwhile them launching that at the new park, seeing what the reaction is. If it's a great ride system and people like it, bring it to Orlando. I know that we don't like copy and pastes, but at the same time, we've had this experience with Fast and Furious where they put Fast and Furious in, it was bin, it upset people, and now we're going to have to get rid of it inevitably at some point. I would rather that they went, right, let's put this coaster in. Oh, it's really good. It's going to be worthwhile putting in another park. Everyone's not going to be upset at Fast and Furious again. That's where I stand on it. I think that will happen. I think that they'll announce it probably by the end of the year. I don't know. But that's where I kind of stand on it. Next thing, I think, well, what's going to happen with Fast and Furious? I think there's no world that Fast and Furious stays. I don't think there's any world whatsoever that Fast and Furious stays. I think that the ride system will stay. I think that they'll update the screens. I think they'll change that. But I think that something else will go over what Fast and Furious is. So I think that's inevitable. And I think immediately by it not being what it is and trying to be a Fast and Furious kind of racing through streets when you're just kind of like in a solely screen-based attraction, I think you'll do better. I think even if you made it like a Twisters attraction where you went in there and they made it a bit more of a 4D experience and you've kind of got like the screens around you showing that stuff's blurring around, but you can feel the wind effects and the rain effects and stuff, but you're on the bus, that would be cool. That's a bit more kind of like, that's more what we're talking, isn't it? So I can see that happening personally. The other things we kind of got to look at are Simpsons. So I've talked about this quite a lot in the past, but Simpsons, I believe by 2027, I think it's got to be closed. 2027 or 2028. It's got to be closed because Disney own Fox, which owned Simpsons. So Disney own it. And the agreement with that is that they can no longer have it, Universal can no longer have it in a park by, I think, 2028. So at some point, Springfield is going to close. So apologies, guys. Anyone who likes it. I know Jade from Time for Jade. She's a big fan. It was her most immersive land. So I'm totally here for it. I totally am. And, you know, as a Simpsons fan, I totally appreciate it. I think Springfield is a wonderful area. But I think that, unfortunately, you know, it's not a wanting it to close. I think it's a case of it is just going to close. And I think at that point, it just needs something else, a big hitter. And the conversation's been Pokemon for years. I think that you get that big hitter of Pokemon in there. I think you put an injection in the park there straight away. The other things, you've got that area where Fear Factor is. What are we going to do with it? I think if you get something in there, whether it's a ride, an experience, a show, I think you add something to the park. Those are the things that I would do. I think realistically, I can't see Jimmy Fallon changing anytime soon. Like Minions is not going anywhere. That's an absolute given. Transformers isn't going to change. The Mummy's not going to change. You know, Diagon Alley's not going to change. So I think that Fast and Furious has got to go and be replaced with something else. Rip Ride is going to get replaced with probably Fast and Furious. I think The Simpsons is going to go for Pokemon, and I think that Fear Factor is going to go probably for something that we don't know yet, something completely new, completely original, which will be really exciting, you know. So that's where I stand on it. I think that until those things have been done, this park won't become an official quote unquote full day park again. And we're probably talking 3-4 years, probably 3-4 years away. But I think there's no doubt that Universal know this. I don't think there's any doubt that they know that there probably isn't quite enough to do in this park at the moment. And the other thing is that we've got to add more themed foods and restaurants. I think that is a given. I think that is the next level of immersiveness in a theme park at the moment, acknowledged by Universal, considering how high the quality is in Epic Universe. So that's my conclusion. I think that right now, I personally believe that this is a half-day park. It pains me to say it. It really does, because I adore this park, but at the same time, I've got to be real. I've got to be honest, and I've got to say, well, actually, I think quite a lot of people probably do think that, unfortunately, this park is. I feel like it's been not even. I was going to say neglected, but neglect is the wrong word. I think that, unfortunately, the things that they've added to this park in recent history, being the DreamWorks Land, which is fine because it's aimed at children, but then I think of Fast and Furious, which is an absolute miss. Jimmy Fallon, which for me was a miss. Minions Villain Con, which for me is a miss. I think that unfortunately they've had too many misses that we need a big hitter. We need something big. And I'm not saying put a massive coaster in there or something like that. I'm just saying that whatever comes into this park needs to hit. I think that it needs to be a big attraction, a big pull for this park. So there we go. That's where I stand on it. And this is off the back as well of the fact that Epic Universe is incredible. And I'm going to get into that in Friday's episode. As I said, I will definitely get into it. We'll get into the conversation about kind of like studios, islands, Universal, and then how it's going to affect Disney a little bit as well. We'll get into that without a doubt. But I'm intrigued to know what you will think. I'm intrigued to know what your opinions are on this. I'm intrigued to know whether or not you rate this park as a half-day park, a full-day park. How do you feel on Universal Studios as it is at the moment, being honest? Am I just being too critical? Am I being super critical? Am I just comparing it against other stuff too much? I don't know. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been a good fun one to record. And I thought about it as soon as I came out of Universal Studios the other day. So, you know, when you come up with the ideas, you just got to go with it. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to this one as much as I've enjoyed recording it. And I will speak to you all in the next one.